I want to show how to graph circles based off their equations. Sometimes it's straightforward, sometimes it's not. So here, the first one, we have x plus 4 quantity squared plus y minus 6 quantity squared equals 16. And so if you remember, we need two things. We need a center and we need a radius. The center comes from these coefficients. So if you remember, the general form is that we have r squared equals x minus h quantity squared plus y minus k quantity squared. And the h and the k give me my center. So here I have h then is going to be negative 4, k is going to be 6. So my center then is negative 4, 6. My radius comes from this side, and it's just the square root of 16. So we get 4. The radius is 4. So now when I'm looking at my Cartesian plane here, I want to go to negative 4, positive 6. So right here, that's my center. That's the point, negative 4, positive 6. And then I have a radius 4. So all I need to do really is just to make sure I go out 4 in each direction. Sometimes that's easier to do than others. So I'm going to go 4 to the right and up here. I go 4 to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4 right there. Maybe I could go 4 up. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 4 down right there. And now I need to try to make a nice circular arc. Oh, it's not so easy to do sometimes. Let me try again. Alright, so that's a rough estimate. But the idea here is that I go 4 in each direction around this center and it generates a circle. Okay, so there we can see from the algebra how to do the geometry. Alright, now let's look at a second one. Now this one, x squared plus y squared plus 6y minus 2x equals negative 2, that doesn't even look like a circle at all. So what I need to do first is I need to group my x terms together. So I'm going to have x squared minus 2x and my y terms together. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to complete the square on both of these two terms. Okay, so completing the square on the x's, if you remember, you always take your linear term, so that's the negative 2, you divide by 2, square the result, so 1 squared equals 1, and then you add it in to both sides. Okay, so that's my x's. I'll add it in a second. Let me do the y's as well. So I take the 6, I divide by 2, which is 3, I square that, which is 9, and I add it into both sides. So now what I have is x squared minus 2x plus 1 plus y squared plus 6y plus 9 equals negative 2 plus 1 plus 9, like that. Okay, now that looks like it's made things more complicated, except now this first group with the x's will factor very nicely. It'll factor as x minus 1 quantity squared. Alright, the second group is going to factor very nicely as well. That's going to be a y plus 3 quantity squared. And then over on the left-hand side, on the right-hand side, we add up to get 8. Okay, so now I know then that my center coming from the x's is going to be 1, negative 3, and the radius is the square root of 8, which is, okay, that's 4 times 2, so you get the square root of 4 times the square root of 2, 2 root 2. Okay, now when I come to graph, so let's see, our center is at 1, negative 3, so here's 1, down 3. Okay, you can check in a calculator that your radius of 2 root 2 is a little bit less than 3. It's about 2.8. Okay, so if I decide to go 3 in each direction, 1, 2, 3, and then back it up a little bit, so right there, 1, 2, 3, back up a little bit, maybe right there, 1, 2, 3, so maybe right here, and then 1, 2, 3, maybe right there, something like that. And then we'll try our best, again, we'll just try to make a nice circle that goes through these points, okay? Alright, and so there's a rough graph of what our circle looks like. I think here for this one, it's more important to see the algebra on how to complete the square twice to get to the circle. Okay, now I'm going to show you how in Desmos you can actually graph these circles very easily, and hopefully it'll confirm the results that we had here. Okay, here I am in Desmos through desmos.com, and this is a very useful tool to check your math and to be able to visualize things very quickly. And so I'm going to go ahead and go over the two circles that we just looked at and see to make sure that we got them correct. Okay, so the first one we had was x plus 4, and I'm going to do a quantity squared, so you can come down to this math keyboard here. We'll say squared plus y minus 6 squared, and that equaled a radius of 4, so we had 16. And so there you can see the circle, and that's a lot better than the one that we graphed, but it gives the same idea. Alright, so let's go ahead and do the second one. We'll do it on this page here. We had x squared plus y squared plus 6y minus 2x equals negative 2. And that's roughly the square that the circle that we drew earlier. Once we did the algebra, we had equation x minus 1 squared plus y plus 3 squared equals 8. And if you notice, the green and the blue are directly on top of each other, which totally makes sense because these are the same equations. It's just the blue we haven't done completing the square yet, and the green we did completing the square to get it in standard form. Okay, so Desmos is a good tool to use for these type things. I hope it makes sense in how we did this. If you have any questions, please let me know, and thanks for watching.